Marie Berry, the pastor of Fremont United Methodist Church. And I thank you for joining us today. In 2021, Fremont United Methodist Church, during the Lenten season, is hosting a mission and ministry series. In this series, we will be inviting into conversation individuals or an individual that operates within a ministry or mission that is supported by the United Methodist Church and of interest to the people at Fremont United Methodist. I have invited several folk into conversation, a space and a place to talk about that which they are called to, and that in which they live out their own call in following Christ. We will be having conversation like the one that is to follow, and it will be presented each week during the Lenten season. On Friday mornings at 10 a.m., the videos will be released. And I invite you to come into those places and spaces, to join us with an open mind to hear, an open heart to dream, an open soul to believe that God calls us to places outside of ourselves, that God calls us into places maybe we've never even dreamed of yet. And as we do dream forward toward the rest of 2021, 2022, and beyond, perhaps in this series, you will find your heart strangely warmed for a new ministry, or revitalized for a ministry that you were aware of, but we have new ways that we can participate. Welcome to our Mission and Ministry series. So first of all, hello to Sarah Bassick. I got it right that time. Right. And Martin Armstrong. I'm so glad that they could join us today as we are continuing, or I don't even know where this is in the series of presentations for Fremont United Methodist Church, but looking at some of those discipleship opportunities that we have and these organizations, missional, that we can come alongside in ways to participate with the work that they do. Let them tell a little bit more about that. You all know Martin. He is so beloved, as I'm very aware from the stories that you all have shared. Fun fact, Martin is the pastor with the longest tenure at Fremont United Methodist. He made it the longest amount of time. And during those times, Sarah, I also know that you were kind of in that youth age and growing up alongside several of the people that come to Fremont and worship with us still. So welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're both here through the magical power of Zoom.
Yeah.
So my opening question to you all is, tell me a little bit about what is the mission of Unearthed Hope?
Well, our mission statement is to equip the women and children of Guatemala with the tools to end the cycle of poverty. And for Unearthed Hope, that means medical care, eyeglasses, Days for Girls kits, which if you're not familiar with, those are reusable menstrual kits. They can be washed and reused for up to 4 years if taken care of properly. And also we've done water filters and stoves and things like that to help just better the quality of life for individuals and communities.
Okay, so you all are working directly with Guatemala. That is your landscape. Why Guatemala?
Well, begins a long time ago. It was at my last appointment. Mm-hmm. It was generated out of the vision that one of my parishioners had. Okay. And he was a doctor. And he became a member of our church. And I began to get to know him and began to talk about how many mission trips he had done over his career. And he had quite a resume of countries and people and situations that he had injected himself into. Mm-hmm. And he was wondering when we were going to go on our mission trips. Oh. And I said, okay, let's figure out a way to do that. So he went on 3 mission trips with another church and then came back to our church, he and his wife, and they put together our first one at my last appointment.
Okay.
And that was 2010. And we got connected to the Boca Costa Medical Mission, which was run by 2 Americans in Xochitl, Guatemala. And we went there a number of times, and he was on all the mission trips except 1 or 2 toward the end. And it basically dealt with the Mayan people that are quite, or the Maya people, say it correctly, mm-hmm. Maya, not Mayan, but Maya, and that live in the mountain areas of Xochitl, Guatemala. And our mission journey there was health and wellness, vision care, Christian education with the children. We did some home repair and some construction and putting in stoves so they could cook their food without having to spend all their time gathering wood. It was a very efficient wooden stove that helped them convert to a different way of cooking. I became committed to that after that first trip.
Sure.
And Sarah began to go with us on some of them. And the idea of Unearthed Hope came from our discussions and our experience in Guatemala.
Well, that kind of answers for me the how were you called into Unearthed Hope. Mm-hmm. But I'm real interested in also understanding the formation and the shaping of that mission that you all have created in that space. Kind of what were the contributing factors to this is where I want to be. Let's start a nonprofit, because by golly, that's work within itself. Oh, yeah. Having been a part of many nonprofits in my own ministry life. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, as far as why Guatemala is on a statistical level, there's 60% of the country is below the poverty line. And 40% of that 60% are Maya. And there's a prejudice in Guatemala against the indigenous Maya people.
Okay.
So they're looked down on within their own country. So we definitely have felt called to that particular population to give them a hand up, to give them the steps out of their particular situation, whatever that happens to be. Lack of healthcare. We're working closely with another organization that helps communities build their schools.
Sure.
So we, definitely called to the poorer populations.
I'm real interested in finding out from you. My next question is going to be what makes Unearthed Hope unique, but I'm also interested in finding out how has the pandemic affected, because you all can't go, you can't travel right now. I am imagining there are individuals that have this relationship with you. They're used to seeing you come through. How has that been an effective piece of your ministry?
It's definitely been difficult with the pandemic. We actually, as far as Unearthed Hope as our organization goes, we haven't been to Guatemala yet.
As Unearthed
Hope.
Yeah,
we've been through my dad's previous appointment and things like that. But the main contact we're still having with communities is through Living Heritage Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. So we, Carla, who's the president of Living Heritage Foundation, she and her organization are on the ground, going to communities, bringing food, healthcare kits, anything that they can do to help keep these people, these communities alive and thriving as much as they can during this. So, I mean, the food insecurity has skyrocketed since the pandemic started. So even though our philosophy is more of an empowerment philosophy, not a let's just hand you this to fix the problem. Right. I'm going to give you the tools to fix the problem.
Right.
We've had to refocus into that disaster relief sort of mindset at this point. So we're hoping to get back to that empowerment phase and the philosophy at some point.
Basically, what we do is we depend on people that are already there, that are members of the communities, that are very well connected to their own people to figure out what to do. We don't decide here what we ought to do if we go there. We ask Carla, what do you need?
Sure.
It might just be money. It might just be, water purification buckets, or it might be, Days for Girls kits,
sure.
or glasses. It just kind of depends.
Sure.
So we depended on Boca Costa in the beginning, and now we're working with
the
Living Heritage Foundation. Yeah.
We got connected with Carla through the Zoe Project.
Okay.
She ran the pilot program for Zoe in Guatemala. Zoe has since backed out of Guatemala, but she's still able to use their, what's the word I'm looking for? Model. The Zoe model.
Yeah.
Sure. So what does make Unearthed Hope unique? What would you say helps you stand out from other organizations that are working and within that space?
Do you want to answer?
You.
Okay. Well, our biggest difference is our empowerment philosophy, that we want to give these communities the tools to better their situation where they are. And it's also about giving them the dignity and ownership of their lives and their situation. So just for example, we usually, we charge a small fee for our clinic, and that money goes straight back into the community, but it gives the families and the individuals ownership of their life, their health, and the medication that they also get that is included in their clinic visit. So it's kind of this, it's more of a holistic, like, keeping in mind the mental health of people.
It sounds like a dignifying process. I don't know what exchange rates would be, but the idea of going to the pharmacy and buying Tylenol for $1 is more dignifying than going to the pharmacy and being handed that Tylenol.
Exactly.
Okay. I see what you're doing there. Now, tell me real quick. I heard Martin, and I know the answer to this, but some others may not. You mentioned eyeglasses.
Yeah.
That is a very unusual thing for a missional group of not, last I checked, you're not an optometrist. Talk about that just a little bit, because I see that as a unique offering for you all.
Well, there are two levels of eyeglasses that we deal with. One is distance vision, and then readers. And you can buy 1,000 reader glasses from some of these wholesale places for $3 or $4 a piece, maybe less.
Yeah, I think we're getting them for about 50 cents a piece.
We're getting for 50 cents a piece. And then Eleanor and I have been trained in how to do eye exams. Eleanor does the near vision and then decides what power the person might need. And these older ladies who depend on their eyesight to do their embroidery work, which makes money for their families,
Right.
Some of them have quit because they can't see their work. And they leave us in tears.
Sure.
Because they can now see and go back to work and make money for their family.
Sure.
And the other side of that is that I do distance vision. I do a standard poster on the wall. Can you read that line to me? And I can figure out from that if they can see or not. Sure. And if it gets, if they can read the bottom line, they don't need glasses. But if they're losing the sight in the middle, then I put them on a scope, which will give me their prescription.
That's pretty handy. And I can imagine being in Fremont United Methodist Church, where we have Dr. Blackman and his family working together, that this is something that they definitely understand what it means for an American to come in, not able to see and giving that gift of eyesight. But I can see where that would be a big deal to a woman who has lost her livelihood in creating some beautiful pieces along the way.
Yeah, it's just one of the tools for
excellent
ending.
I mean, we're really changing people's lives.
Certainly.
And they do not have access to this.
Right.
I mean, we can call 50 places in Wake County to go get glasses.
Yes.
They don't have anything. And they really need to be able to see.
Yeah.
And the kids need to be able to see the board at school.
Absolutely.
I've built probably 300 glasses for kids.
Wow.
They all leave my presents looking like Harry Potter.
Very round frames.
But I build the glasses and hand them to them, and they go off able to see.
But nonetheless, in that moment in time, they have, again, that empowerment opportunity and that dignity in being able to go to school, and something that we take for granted, reading a chalkboard.
Right.
Because I'm certain there's still chalkboards and they're not dry erase and all the beautiful boards that we have in our modern schools here in America. So that's amazing work. That's amazing work. So my great question that I ask, I love this question because as clergy, Martin, you and I, our ultimate goal, I think, should be, if we were not there on a Sunday, can the leadership of that congregation stand up around us?
they might not be able to baptize and do communion that Sunday, but have they been empowered, to use that term, to be able to do this work on their own, to be able to do that? How do we, and the congregation's going to hear me say this probably every time, how can we work ourselves out of a job, right?
Right.
Sure.
How would you know that the work of Unearthed Hope was complete? How would you know that?
It's a really difficult question.
We've been talking it over.
We've been trying to figure out how to answer that one for a couple of days now. I mean, the truth is poverty is never going away. And it's never going to go away in Guatemala. It's never going to go away in the United States. It's never going to go away anywhere in the world. There's always going to be poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we're going to continue working and, enjoy seeing the improvements we see in these communities we have a relationship with. And I don't think it will end, really.
I mean, that's a fair answer, because it may be a circumstance that I'm, unfortunately, that's our answer right now. Unfortunately, this work may never go away.
Right.
This need may never go away. How can Unearthed Hope help to make it better? What would be kind of ideal for you all? Money limited object. No, we don't have a plethora of funds and unlimited funds available, but what kind of things, and I guess this kind of goes along with the question of how can Fremont United Methodist Church assist Unearthed Hope? If you all could build your ideal trip to Guatemala, what would that look like? How many people? What kind of supplies? What would you like to have? Say Fremont made the decision that in 2022, I'd love to be super hopeful and say 2021, but let's say 2022,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to build a team, if we were to build supplies, if we were to build all of those things,
Mm-hmm.
what would you like to see? What would you need? What would you suggest we look at having?
Do you want to?
Yeah. As far as glasses go,
Mm-hmm.
there are places where we can buy the raw materials for glasses. I get different boxes of lenses at different strengths, and then I create the glasses that I need for any individual based on what their prescriptions are. And so the money to buy those and someone to help me do the exams, run the people around from chair to chair, to do some writing on I write a case paper, a ticket for each person, to keep up with that. You don't have to know anything about optometry. You just have to be willing to help and interpret a little bit. Someone who speaks Spanish would be wonderful.
So answer just real quick. Let me step in. What type of Spanish is best to learn?
Eyeglasses Spanish.
Eyeglasses Spanish.
I got
Better,
to.
worse.
Here's the tricky part about Guatemala and the areas we're in is that Spanish is typically the second language of the communities we're in. So pretty simple Latin American Spanish is probably the best, because there's 22 dialects, Mayan dialects, and we definitely encountered at least two of them, Quiche and Mom, quite often. I can recognize Quiche, but I have no idea what they're saying.
Sure.
But
typically when a doctor is interviewing a patient, you have to have two interpreters.
Mm-hmm.
One to interpret Mom or Quiche into Spanish, and then a Spanish
to
English. So you're sitting there there's at least 4 people in the room, plus maybe a nurse if you're a doctor and you need some help. So that's
Okay.
always kind of been a hurdle that anybody doing mission work, Spanish language. would
Well, and
cut
I would
out-
say even in America, there's some
Yeah.
benefit
Well,
in
yeah.
doing
Yeah.
that with some of our migrant
If you're an
workers.
emergency room doctor,
Right.
you better know Spanish,
Sure,
because
sure.
somebody's going to come in there and
So we found you a helper who can write down what it is the doctor is ordering,
Yeah.
a helper that can help transport patients to and from. We've got you a couple people to give you a hand. We were lucky enough to find a couple of Spanish speaking individuals, or enough eyeglass Spanish to say clear, not clear, whatever it is we need to do. What else would you all need to go along with this?
Well, we run a clinic for 5 days, so we definitely would need doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, any kind of medical provider.
Yeah.
We need medical supplies, mostly things like
Pharmacist.
Yeah, pharmacist would be helpful.
Pharmacist.
Oh, you said that in Fremont.
Yeah.
The pharmacists work hard.
Maybe you have a couple of those around.
I don't know if you do or not, but I'm sure they might be.
I believe I saw them Sunday at work. So I'm sure they're still. What about a pharmacy tech? Is that a helpful?
Sure. Oh, yeah. They could do a lot of that.
Okay.
And honestly, just helping with consulting and things like that when we have a medical dilemma. They may not be able to come with us, but could be a resource.
Okay. Even just a phone resource, kind of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
On one trip to Boca Costa, it was one of our first ones. I think we had 4 providers.
Mm-hmm.
We saw nearly 800 people in 5 days.
Wow.
That was
long, hard days.
Mm-hmm.
And they were lined out the door all day long, every day, waiting. Plus the waiting room inside was full, and a line of 50 people outside.
Wow.
Every day, all day for 5 days straight.
Okay. Well, I am not a Spanish speaker yet. That is on my list of things.
Neither am I. So it's okay.
I really do. I intend, I have I can't speak Spanish, but I bet you I could write things down for you.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor or a nurse, but I used to work in medicine on the other side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I don't do any of those things? Is there room for me to come and be with you all?
Well, we've done construction. We put a roof on a school. One of the things we did was we got stoves financed, and then they would bring the parts up to where we're going to be, and we installed them all in the people's homes.
Mm-hmm.
And so construction, heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm. And if you want something a little lighter on in the heavy lifting area, we do run a vacation Bible school for the children in the community. And really, it's just a little bit of singing, telling some stories, and playing with kids.
Crafts.
Oh, so if you like kids and you like to play with kids?
Right. They have
exactly.
Fun. They have big fun.
They have loads of fun.
Yeah.
Well, and you were talking about construction. And last I checked, Sam Sasser happened to be one of those, not to call Sam out, but happens to be in construction.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like Fremont United Methodist, with some of our nursing personnel, we could potentially get together some people. Now, I know we mentioned Days for Girls and the menstrual kits, and I know that you worked, it's Snow Hill, and what's the other church that does those?
I'm not sure I know who the other church is.
We can't remember right now, but there was another church involved.
Well, we love you. Thank you, other church to whose name we can't remember.
Yeah, thank you.
So, but that's okay. So Snow Hill is where the sewing people are. They are still making those things. Are they making those things for Unearthed Hope? Are they still working with you that way?
Currently we have about 25 kids from them, but we should have more than that by the time we get to go.
Sure. In 2022.
Last time we went, we took 400.
Mhm.
Took 400 last time. So
Yeah.
what about the education? I happen to know that Melissa Harrell
Yes.
has done some education for you. Talk to me a little bit about what that happens. What room is there to work with these young women, older women, for this process?
Well, I had the pleasure of being partnered with Melissa for Days for Girls 2 years ago, I think, 2017. I guess that's more than 2 years ago now. Anyway,
Free.
but we would have classes of about 25 women, young women to grandmothers even, and we would talk about what's normal for the menstrual cycle, when there's what is abnormal. So when should you seek medical treatment and help? We also taught how to properly take care of the kids so that they can be used for as long as possible.
Sure.
And it's a lot of fun because Melissa, one of the things she did was we put one of the pads and the shield with the liners in a pair of underwear, and she would put it on over her pants. And, it just everybody breaks out laughing.
So there's a bit of hilarity.
Oh, yeah.
So there's laughing on a trip.
There's laughing. Yeah. I mean, and the first time we say panties, like everybody's. So there's still a lot of taboo.
Sure. No, I think we see Martin laughing too. So.
Right. Yeah.
I've got stories, but
always does.
But Days for Girls is also one of those places that you're like, oh, how is this really helpful? Like, what is this really doing for these families and these women? Mm-hmm. And we've had several encounters where a grandmother was in the Days for Girls class. She was postmenopausal, didn't need it, but she was there to get the information for her granddaughter.
Lovely.
So she took the kit back home so that they didn't have to spend the money on disposable products. Wow. And they could feed the family with that money.
Wow.
So it's
the things we take for granted, isn't it?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The word access really needs to be talked about.
Sure.
And talk about what the need is.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Access to anything.
Sure.
These people have skills. Mm-hmm. They have some wonderful, beautiful abilities to do a lot of things, even organize a business.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And they can, in some of the teaching that Heritage does, or
Living Heritage
Foundation teaches them how to start a checking account.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how to build a program, a mission statement for their business.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And set it up and begin to work it. Mm-hmm. Anything from a sewing shop to baking pizzas and taking them to your neighbors.
Sure.
So
it's all about empowerment. It's all about dignity. It sounds like access. I really like that word, Martin. I think that's helpful because for us, even in Fremont, if we were the poorest of the poor, we've got joiners, we've got the pharmacy, we've got access to Dollar General. We have access to these things that we very much take for granted, I feel, in some way, shape, or form at times. So it sounds like Fremont could give you money to help with glasses and those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. We could put together a team to work with you all to be able to carry not only those skilled employees and skilled personnel, but also there's room to play. If you don't feel your skill is that high, although the people here at Fremont, are very skilled individuals and very thoughtful individuals. But if you don't think you can do construction, if you don't think you can handle eyeglasses, the kids need a hand in that process. We need a hand to do the construction. We need the thoughtfulness of people that can be kind and be willing to walk with a woman as they learn a little bit more about what a menstrual cycle actually is, and is educated in that process along the way. So thank you. You've answered all of my questions, but I want to give you all room if there's anything else that maybe we didn't cover that you feel would be great information.
Well, on the vein of how else you could help with Unearthed Hope, we have started a small shop on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And there's items that were made in Guatemala, and there's items that we've made with fabric that we have bought from families.
Okay.
So those funds would directly go back to, the fabric was purchased at a fair trade value.
Sure.
So it's already helped the family, but it would help us continue our work.
Support them. And that's only through your Facebook page right now, yes?
It's through our website.
Through your website. Excellent. Because I know that some of our people are not Facebook people. So I want to make sure that, and also we'll make sure we have that link in our description of this video, so that our people at home, you all can go and take a look at that as well. So. Yeah. Excellent. Well, go ahead.
I'll tell you one story.
Please.
A young lady that Sarah and Joseph have been helping. Her name.
And Joseph is Sarah's husband, correct? Okay.
Deborah.
Her name is Deborah. She was very sick when we first met her. She did not have access to continual care that she needed. She was evaluated many times, and Sarah and Joseph began to provide the medicine that she needed to get better. Okay. We saw her like a year later or a few months later.
I think it was summer 2019 we saw her.
Right. And she looked like a different human being. Wow. And it was just because Sarah and Joseph put a little bit of support in place for her to get what she needed. Mm-hmm. And she began to get better, get stronger, be happier. Mm-hmm. They went as far as to buy her a laptop.
Okay.
Put her online and put her connected with the rest of the world.
Connectivity.
You know what they asked Sarah and Joseph? She asked Sarah and Joseph for a couple of days ago.
What was that?
She wants to go to college.
Glory. What a big dream to go from
almost dead. Let me tell you.
I mean, we saw her and we had her checked out by one of the doctors we had with us, and he was 3 months tops. And that was, 18 months ago.
Sure.
And she has a dog she walks all the time, and she's a normal, typical teenager.
It sounds like you all literally unearthed hope for her.
Yeah.
And because of that hope that she was able to receive.
Exactly.
To bring that in, because it makes a big difference when any of us, I mean, we've been living in a pandemic for a year now. I mean, the first case was documented a year ago. The idea of being in a pandemic and not seeing a way out of that for us has only been a year in America, right? But for these people in Guatemala, it's a continual space for them.
It's not going to end when COVID is under control.
Right. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story.
There are two more at least. I won't tell you that right now. That's for later.
I got you. Well, we'll talk storytelling another time, because I definitely want to continue this conversation. I'm sure the people here at Fremont are going to want to continue this conversation with you. And when we may do follow-up along the way, and just kind of see where we are and see where that goes. But Sarah and Martin, I thank you all very, very much for your time, and I thank you for being here today.
We're glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us very much.
Certainly. As you all can see, we had a good conversation with Sarah and Martin about Unearthed Hope. And before we conclude today, I do want to say a blessing for their work and the people of Guatemala that they are caring for. If you all will bow with me for just a moment. Gracious God, in this place and space, we thank you for your presence with us today, with Sarah and with Martin, as we learn more about their work through Unearthed Hope. Lord, we pray that there shall be empowerment and dignity for the people that they and the lives that they touch, that access and connectivity begin to grow and to flow in those places and spaces where all of the individuals in the areas that Unearthed Hope come to play and work and live. Lord, I pray your blessing upon their work. I pray that you will continually be their watchword and guide. In the name of your Son, amen.